Hi there, I'm Kate Paradoxa, and I'm doing a video review for Kim Dallesandro's book titled Dead End Cul de Sac. Um, I wanted to apologize for taking this long to do another video review because I intended to do this back in October around Halloween, and all sorts of stuff was going on with the election and everything, and holiday season and things like that, everything just kind of distracting me and stuff. So I don't know. But I definitely enjoyed this book, and um, I definitely recommend it to people that like mysteries and very twisted plot lines, because this book, um, the book that I read before was Oklahoma, the last one I read by her, and that one had some interesting twists and turns. I think this one's twists and turns, they're like, it's mind boggling. Like, it's definitely a book that you're gonna read more than once. I mean, it's fascinating though. Like, it's definitely it's got a lot of feminist drama in it, plot line, and like it and relational in general. Like, it's about a neighborhood, really. It's about a neighborhood that's in a little like that's the title. It's a dead end area of the neighborhood where the street ends, and there's haciendas around these houses, and these homes where these people live, and there's so much stuff going on in that neighborhood, and it's like it's in this area where it would otherwise be a very quiet, kind of countryside area, but the chaos going on in the neighborhood within all the homes is just like, it's just an ongoing mess of just like so many different different things going on in people's lives that are all interwoven. It's just interesting for like how, I mean, there's so many different characters in this book. Of her books I've read so far, this one has the most characters involved directly in like the main plot line. Like, so many different characters, um, starting mainly with Heather, the lady who owns the haciendas. She's the landlord essentially, and there's also Javier, who's a Hispanic worker who takes care of the avocado trees. There's a huge grove of thousands of avocado trees that they take care of, and that's a big part of their business. That's the official part of their business, and there's other stuff going on too. So all of this stuff going on has to do with the general cash flow and things, all this drama around it because of what goes on with everything. And the thing is, several of the people involved want to lead honest lives. As I mean, Javier is being a very obvious example that everything he does, he has a spiritual purpose with everything he does. He I mean, the ground he walks on, everything around him, the trees, the avocado trees that he works on, like all of that stuff, everything that he does for the business, he takes deeply personally as like he considers a part of his spiritual life. He's one of the most honest people, like, and he's dealing with all of the chaos going on with all the dishonest people in the neighborhood. And Heather as well, she has to deal with all of it, and she's trying to be honest, and everything just makes her like have to work with dishonest people, and it's like it's such a mess. And other characters in the story involve probably the main villain is McGee, who is a corrupt police officer. Who's who just messes with everybody's lives in the neighborhood. The book is definitely a good read for in context to like the Me Too movement, because everything about Officer McGee's goings on. Like everything that guy does is so messed up, and it's like the guy's like on borderline, like he's like a rapey type of character. I mean, he's a terrible human being. He's a really bad person, and he's messing with everything going on in that neighborhood, and making it more dishonest than it already is. It's like, so he's like the worst of all the bad like going on in the neighborhood. And the thing is, he's hanging around the neighborhood more lately in the story. Like the storyline kind of explains that he's been involved in their lives for a long time, and everybody in the neighborhood can't stand him. Even Javier can't stand the guy. Like they all can't stand him. Like no matter how honest the people, like the most dishonest people can't stand him, and the most honest people can't stand him either. Like everybody in that situation, and they're all noticing that he's around the neighborhood a lot more often. So there's a context to that. And eventually in the story, there's something about another character in the story, Suzanne, who he's seeing. So they're in a relationship, and Suzanne's like really close with the main character, Heather. So all that, like, and she doesn't know that at the beginning of the story. So I don't want to give too many details away in the story, but like all of this is interwoven, and like there's other characters as well with there's Jerry and Yvonne, a husband and wife, and there's their daughter Ariel, and Ariel is the only person in the whole story that I can think of right in my mind. I think she's probably the only one who likes Mickey, and it's because he's flirting with her, and she's like a teenager. She's like I'm not even sure. She's like, I think, a freshman in high school or something. She's like 14 or something. She's very young. It's like crazy. It's like this guy is seeing Suzanne, who's living in one of the houses, and like in one of the haciendas in the neighborhood. So it's like there are all these houses around, and they're it's just such a mess. Everything that goes on in that situation. So I don't know. I mean, he's definitely on the prowl toward Ariel constantly, and they're like hanging out, and he's like driving around in his cop car, and like he's most likely breaking the law, like just showing off to her. And it's like all this stuff that's like going on in the storyline. It just shows how messed up that situation is, where like the between the businesses going on in the storyline, like not just the avocado tree business, but the other things going on. They're like kind of like they're kind of mob or mafia business things going on. That's like all kind of under the table businesses. So it's like it's all messed up. Like this is just like some like kind of a rural part of California, like that it's all taking place in. It's like and it's just like it's ridiculous how like messed up people's lives are in this story. And like so not to go on like a long tangent about that, because there's more to it. Like there's a certain point in the storyline, it all comes around to the point where Ariel goes missing, and nobody knows what happened to her. So everybody in the neighborhood around town is on a look for like on the lookout for her. They all like do like a big like a group search for her, like the whole neighborhood does. So and the first like they immediately suspect the guy that is supposed to be giving her piano lessons, Stefan. He's a character who he's interesting. He's another really honest person, seems like, in the narrative. I mean, at least the way it's described, he's honest, at least on the surface in the narrative. And he's a piano teacher, and he was supposed to give her lessons, to give Ariel lessons for that, and she goes missing. They immediately suspect him because he has a record of a previous charge with a teenager, a teenage girl, and but the charges were dropped. So it's kind of a that's kind of a like it's a strange thing. So anyway, like they are immediately suspect him. They take him into custody. There's other people that go into custody for other things going on at the same time, because there's a prostitution buster. Like there's like they there's a one of the houses in the neighborhood has a whole thing going on with that. Like it's beyond just the mafia. There's like a prostitution going on in one of them, and uh, it's uh, it's crazy because the people that are running it, they're like one of them gets goes to gets arrested by McGee, the guy who's one of the worst people. Like in the story, is like one of the worst people. Like and one of them gets arrested by him, and then another guy who's like mafia like affiliated, who lives in the neighborhood, goes and gets into a fight with the guy that's getting custody. Uh, you know. While the guy is in handcuffs in the back of the car, so the guy walks up and starts fighting him physically, so he ends up at the cop car too, and they both go to jail, along with Stefan. So like this is all like just a mess of stuff, and this is just towards the kind of towards the beginning. So this is not like I don't feel like that's given a lot away. Like that's like an early on detail in the storyline. The rest of it like it's even more like crazy. So it's interesting like how all of it like unfolds. It's definitely a storyline. Like the storyline is like definitely it's definitely it's kind of like a comedy. It's definitely like it's serious stuff that's going on. The narrative is fascinating because it's actually kind of like in a way it's all kind of slapstick in a way. Like a lot of it is. I mean, not the entire story, but like there's definitely serious points in the story, but it's also like the narrative, I can imagine it being like a very sarcastic type of thing. Like so like it's all really it's interesting like the different tones in it because there's a lot of like the narrative kind of speaks to the messed up nature of it all, like with everybody. So I don't know, like it's a the book is definitely filled with first of all it's really twisted, but it's also a comedy on top of it being like just a messed up drama. I mean, a really messed up thriller element to it because of the search is searching for Ariel, and there's just so many elements to it being such a mess. And you see like how like the police deal with McGee as well. It's like just a it's crazy deal like the way that all of that unfolds between like McGee and the sergeant of the police. So it's like all of that. So as it unfolds, they're searching for Ariel everywhere. Like they go and they have to look for her in all of the houses and throughout the grove. So like the all of the like the thousands of avocado trees in the groves. They go searching for her everywhere. Um, so the storyline is fascinating for the character develops like the character developments are definitely one of the strongest things about it. Like honestly, that's where it really like that's where it really compels the reader, I think. And because everybody's such a mess. I mean, I would say the least messed up person is Javier, the the guy who works the cleans or takes care of the avocado trees and like does like tends to organize like the organization of that and everything. Everybody is so fascinating for different things in that storyline. Um, and I don't know exactly how much I should give away about the story because I don't want to like spoil it. I don't want to make it like I don't want to give away any like really like important details, but it's definitely a good read for like how twisted it is and like the elements of you definitely don't see the ending coming the way it is. It explains a lot in the last chapter, like any of the confusion like as to what is going on. There's like the last chapter or two are really like they're very explanatory about like the details, and it does kind of end on a wholesome note, really wholesome note. There's like there's really good things at the end for some of the characters and like bad things for other characters definitely, but it's really interesting. because you definitely, it's a page turner, definitely, and it's like it's fascinating, like just how like how like all of that goes and everything, like the and if I would, if I would point out specific parts in the book that are really like uh compelling, you know, for someone who's interested in reading this book, it's like there's like the scene where the police all show up at the cul-de-sac, and their cars are piling up, and like there's all of these prostitution cars that are showing up at the exact same time, and like this is like during daylight hours, and it's like there's like all this chaos going on. One of the cars crashes into like a house, I think, or like onto property, and it's like it just crashes into something, and like nearly kills somebody, like, and then like this is it's the same house that the cops are going to question one of the people about Ariel missing. It's like, so it's like all of this is going on all at the same time, and that, and like that particular chapter is so like absurd to read it because it's like just one thing after another. It's like wild, and just like interesting stuff. And everybody's backstories are really interesting in the story. Like everybody's like, yeah, there's a lot of people that are. It explains like what their lives were before they lived in the cul-de-sac area, and like like they all have stories before they were living there. And you know, there's a mob affiliation that goes on with characters. I suppose I'll say that there's a character named Bob that is that's works for the mafia, and it's like a Chicago mafia guy who works there, and he can't, like, he's like one of those characters no one can stand either. Like him and McGee, and in the story there's something that kind of involves both of them. So without going like too much into detail about it, because I don't know if I want to like, I don't know if it spoils the story, but like there's definitely interwoven elements of their personal stories, like their personal lives. Like the bad guys in the like book are like they're all affiliated with one another for the most part. So it's like all the messed up things that go on, all the dirty things, between all the dirty dealings. Um, it's fascinating because I definitely think there was a heroic element in the story, among the women, like Heather and Ariel, definitely strong heroic element. Suzanne as well. There's a heroic element there, even though she's the woman who's dating um, Officer McGee. So it's like that's a messed up situation, but there's a heroic element with her as well, Suzanne's character. So all of this interesting stuff with the character shifts are interesting for that fact. And you know, just like Heather starts out kind of one of these really stern characters that you're not entirely sure, you know, if this is going to be one of those characters that are you know, a good person or a bad person. If this is like one of those characters that's, you know, more of a conceited character. At first, it's not really clear, and then as the story unfolds, you realize what's going on in that context. Like there's her conceit is towards people that are messed up in that neighborhood that she knows all too well. And she's like, and, you know, they're all upset at McGee, and she's like so pissed off to see that McGee is hanging around the neighborhood. She doesn't know that he's living with one of her best friends, Suzanne. It's like crazy. So it's like it's a very like interesting read for all of those character elements, and all like it's definitely of Kim's books. These are like this one is definitely got like so much inner story, like inner character like elements, like definitely interwoven stories between so many people. It's like it rings true though, like for so many, like it's definitely a realistic thing. It's like they're it's strange because it's like one of those things where it's like it's you feel like it's what you hear at a family reunion or something. It's like the kind of story that's like it's like messed up family reunion like uh stories, you know. It's like how like people in the neighborhood are. It's like really messed up. So I don't know, I mean, personally speaking, coming from my family, yeah. It's like it's in the like neighborhood that I live in. Very it's it's a story I truly can relate to for how messed up so many people are. So anyway, um, I enjoyed this book and I highly recommend it. It's it's definitely the most whimsical. Like it's definitely got the most humor of all of the books I've read of her so far. This is definitely the best humor book. It's got probably the strongest feminist element. It's very strong feminist writing, and I think it's actually a good book for the Me Too movement. Really, so I mean, I recommend it, and I would look up like any of her books. Kim just wrote her 12th book. She's just finished writing it, so she now has like I think probably almost twice as many books out since the beginning of the 2020s. She has almost twice as many as Stephen King has. That's crazy. I don't think anybody else has that many books out in the 2020s so far. She's like, she's, I don't know. I mean, I just don't. If whoever has more books out than Kim Dallesandro as of the 2020s anyway, like in this era, like it's like I don't know how they have the time to write all those books. It's crazy. Yeah, she just wrote her 12th one. I think this is probably her I think this might be her fourth book or fifth, maybe. I forget. It's one of them. I think it's either the fourth, fifth, or sixth, or something like that. But yeah. So I have a lot of reading to do. She has so many books. It's like wild. So yeah. And I'm not sure what the next one I'll read is yet. I'm deciding. I still haven't read her autobiography. Well, it's not a complete autobiography. It's a portion of it's about her life living on the trains back in Germany and like in her teenage years. So at some point, I want to read that one because I was telling her the only time I've ever been on a formal train before, any trains like you see in the movies. The only time I've ever been on any was when I was in Europe on a field trip. I traveled on the trains in Germany as well when I was like 18. So it's like I want to read that just because I remember that vividly. Being on the trains in Germany, I was going from Rome, Italy to Paris, France. So that was a good time. So I want to read. That was the book Trains is actually her very first published novel. So I do want to read that one soon. So maybe I'm not sure if that'll be the next one, possibly. But anyway, I recommend this book, and it's titled "Dead End Cul de Sac," which is funny because it's "Dead End Cul de Sac." They mean the same thing. So it's an English and French title. So anyway, Kim Dallesandro.